Hello, my name is Raul Ceja. I'm a first-generation Latino born and raised in Hollister. I'm a designer, storyteller, and strategist that specializes in community engagement. I've been asked to facilitate a conversation between a community resident and the police chief of Hollister on behalf of BenitoLink.
How long have you been a resident of Hollister?
I've been a resident for Hollister for the past approximately 7 years.
I've been a resident of Hollister since 2003.
What was life like before Hollister?
Life before Hollister, actually, I'm retired. Life before Hollister was from the East Coast. I worked up in Washington, D.C., worked for a member of Congress from New York City. I also worked for two mayors, the mayors of the city of Chicago, mayors of the Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. And I also worked for the White House. So I have a political background and a legal background. I'm also I hold a law degree from the same university that Thurgood Marshall graduated from, the associate judge of the Supreme Court, the first black judge nominated to the Supreme Court by Lyndon Baines Johnson. So we graduated from the same law school. So I have a civil rights background. I have a background of equality and fairness in terms of application of the law and application of the Constitution.
I was a police officer in the city of Los Banos, started there in 1990, and also went to the city of Redwood City in 2000 and was a police officer there, and came to Hollister in 2003.
How has your life experience defined who you are today?
What has defined me a lot has been growing up in New York, basically in Spanish Harlem, and observing the community and how it was treated. Observing, having the opportunity to work up on Capitol Hill opened up my eyes in terms of where the power is and who has access to power. Part of my responsibility was to interact with the constituents of the district back in New York. So you hear the stories, and I also lived the stories because I came from that community. I saw the interaction of government, and I saw the interaction of the police department within that community. And if you're familiar with the 60s, you're familiar with the civil rights movement, and you saw the inequities of the application of the law in certain specific communities, namely the Black community, the Latino community, the Asian community. So that's my foundation. And I've been being a graduate of a school that emphasizes civil rights and civil liberties and equality, also emphasize the value in making sure that the laws are equally applied to everybody fairly, and not due to race, national origin, or color of your skin.
My life experience has defined me in many different ways. In Hollister, we have the fortunate of having this beautiful scenery around us and great people, and I was raised in a home where we were involved in community service, a lot of volunteerism, and so I've been able to take those opportunities to Hollister here as well. So I'm involved in the Boy Scouts of America. I'm the chairman. I'm the vice president of Rotary here. I'm on the board of directors of the Saddle Horse Show. I'm on the board of United Way. I go to LULAC meetings, which are great. I've been asked to actually talk at some of their youth programs as well. And I've done a lot of community cleanups. I have my own nonprofit, Hollister Gives Back, that helps out troops, helps out homeless folks. So my life experience has allowed me to understand that that's important, but I also moved to a place where it's also important to the people that live here as well. So I'm a lucky guy, honestly.
Commentaries written by you, Mr. Burguillo, have generated an extensive amount of conversation on BenitoLink and Facebook. What compels you to write about such topics?
What compels me to write about these social and political issues in the community, as I mentioned earlier, it comes from my background, seeing the inequities. Let me also step back, because I know people say, well, what's his background? From what position does he make those allegations? I have in my family members of the police department. I have a member of my family who is retired now, a New York City police detective, and was a member of the FBI terrorist task force back in the 90s. I have a nephew who is a member of the Maryland Police Department, one of the police departments there. So I'm familiar through family affiliations of the police department. I'm familiar with the police through my professional experience working for the city of Chicago, working with the police chief of Chicago at the time, and working with the police chief of the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. So I come from that perspective. My intent for writing the series of articles is because I see a trend post 9/11 of police departments becoming very militarized and seeing its citizens as enemies. As I mentioned before, we got license plate readers, we got retina readers, we got recording of your voice when you're out at the farmer's market. So I don't want to see Hollister, which is a beautiful community, become a sort of police state because of the politics of fear and loathing. Okay, it's not necessary here. Crime rate is down.
Chief Westrick, what concerns you about Mr. Burguillo's commentaries?
The commentaries were related to the department that I am in charge of. And it's always important for me, I think it's also incumbent on me to make sure that if there are folks out there that are representing facts that are related to my agency, that those facts be correct. And one of the things that kind of struck a chord was the one commentary regarding citations that were written in 2015-16 year, and then previous years as well. You know, citations are an important part of what we do in our mission, because what we're trying to do at the end of the day is change driving behavior. And our officers understand that. We've gotten grants specifically for that, driving the influence grants, distracted driving, cell phones, texting and driving grants, to reduce those incidents of injury and not have to go to those homes and tell a loved one that their person is lost because of something that's occurred on the road. A second part of that was the revenue. We don't really get any revenue off of moving citations really at all. It's I think I checked for the years that the commentary wrote, and it was $13,000. And if you look at one fine for DUI is over $10,000. We had 275 that year. So if you count those, and if anybody's ever gotten a speeding ticket, I know that my own wife's got a speeding ticket not too long ago, and it was very expensive. It was $500. And we're talking less than 1% most of the time. Most of the time it's less than 1% of 1% that returns back. And that revenue does not go to the police department. It goes to the general fund of the municipality that it's from. So if it's a CHP, it's a state. If it's the city of Hollister, it's the city of Hollister, not the police department though. No direct funds come there.
According to Hollister Police Crime Statistics, moving violations have increased by 241% between 2013 and 2015. Mr. Burguillo, why do you believe that is, and what evidence do you have to support your claims?
The reason why I say that it's similar to Ferguson is because there are the population is almost similar. Ferguson has a population of 21,000. Hollister has a population of 37,000. When you see crime down and you see traffic stops come up, traffic stops generate revenue for the city. It is not that the police officer collects those funds, because that would be questionable practices and it would be a conflict of interest. It could even be bribery charges, criminal charges, if the police at the stop will collect, let's say, the $100 fine. The police issues a citation. The individual chooses whether to pay that citation or he's going to challenge it before the court. In either case, that money goes to the city. It doesn't go to the police department. So he's correct in the sense that they don't get the money. They get the money indirectly to the city because they have to go before the city council request for a budget. Okay, so if they want cameras, they want motorcycles, they want a dog kennel, they want new cars, new uniforms, new furniture, they have to go to the city council. So, but there is an indirect connection. So they do raise the money, similar to Ferguson, because they were issuing tickets and arrest warrants on a smaller population.
Chief Westrick, why do you disagree with Mr. Burguillo's claims to the contrary?
2013 to 2016, I was the chief of police. Was sworn in on July 2nd of 2013. And really my goal was, and this is from asking people all over the city, they want safer streets. They want safer schools. So the two things I've done, worked really hard to, is we had 0 school resource officers in 2013. We now have 3. I got grants for 1 and have done cooperative agreements with the other 2, which has been really nice. Those officers, by MOU, also by their contract, are also in charge of traffic during, before and after schools. So I've now been able to help a little bit of those problem areas, although having only 3 school resource officers self-admittedly is not enough to make a huge impact, because we have over, 12 actually schools in our city. But it does do something. Addition to that, we've also gotten grants that are specific for that. And really, at the end of the day, we want to reduce incidents of injury as much as we possibly can.
Mr. Burguillo, have you requested official documents to support your claims?
I've gone to the city to ask for a request for documents. And I've asked also to interview the chief on 2 occasions, and he hasn't been available. So yes, I've approached the police department, specifically the chief, and he hasn't been made available to answer those questions. So in turn, I write an opinion piece, which is a form of news raising these concerns, because I hear from my community concerns about the issuing of the tickets, that seems unfair. I observe when I drive around the city how police stop cars, how they treat the youth. They handcuff them, remove them from the car, sit them on the sidewalks, hold them for a long period of time. Most of the time, they don't find anything. That's abusive. That's an excessive use of force. Unnecessary, since the crime is down in the city.
Chief Westrick, why do you believe it's appropriate for law enforcement to use traffic stops as a tool to discover crimes?
I think it's important for us, because we're trained observers, for any contact that we have, that we keep our eyes open. 99% of the time we stop a car, it's for a minor infraction. But that one time that we see something could prevent another crime. I remember as a patrol officer pulling over a simple stop sign and looking over and seeing loaded firearms on the passenger side of this vehicle that were kind of covered up with some stuff. And when we checked into it a little further, this guy was planning on doing a bank robbery, And it's one of those things where it's part of our tool belt, It's just like, us going to get training for first aid. You never know when you're going to need it, but I'm glad that we have the ability to do that, So yeah, if they can use traffic stops or ped stops or or any kind of contact they have, and they open up their eyes and see a little bit more, yeah, that's a good thing. It prevents crime.
Mr. Burguillo, do you feel the increase in citations from moving violations leads to a safer community? Please explain.
Again, they have to show why they need to increase the traffic stops. There's got to be a statistical reason. There's got to be a reason to say we're having a lot of complaints, we're having a lot of collisions, a lot of accidents, so we need to be a little more deliberate in terms of traffic stop. But when you do a traffic stop, there has to be probable cause. It's not because I feel like it, okay? There has to be a legitimate, articulated reason, legal reason, not because I feel like it as a police officer. I went through a stop sign, I went through a red light, I was speeding. Those are the reasons why you do traffic stops. You don't do traffic stops to see if the individual is legal, if the individual has something. You don't do it for false purposes. Let me stop and see what else I can find. And the police chief has stated that they conduct that kind of stop to see if there are other crimes involved. See, that creates a distrust in community when you do that. You, as a police officer, you address a violation as it happens. You don't come in with preconceived ideas about that community. So when you're doing excessive stops with preconceived ideas that this population is doing something underhanded, those are grounds for how you see that community. You see it in suspicion, they're suspect, automatically. And police officers are not supposed to approach an individual with preconceived ideas. Although they have them, they're supposed to follow the law, which is, did they break the law? And then I have a right to stop them and issue a citation if it's warranted. But there has been an explanation of the increase. So they're saying that what, they're preventing an accident from happening from stopping people? I don't buy it.
Mr. Burguillo, how would you describe the state of community and police relations in Hollister, and what can be done to improve them?
From what I've seen and what I've observed in terms of the police in Hollister, I see very little, at least in my community, my particular community, very little police interaction, meetings with, community policing. I don't see that. You see them driving around their patrol cars. You don't see them individually meeting with individual communities asking, how is the community's relationship with the police department? The other issue in Hollister, as in other communities, is that you have a population that's fearful of the police, who may read my article, may not comment on it because fear of retribution. And their immigration status may be in question, so they want to avoid that. But they see and they observe, just like I do, how you see a particular community of Hollister being treated. And I see the youth, the way they're being treated. I saw a woman in a minivan with kids in the background with 4 police officers. To me, that's an overkill. I mean, when you stop a minivan with a mother and 4 kids, and the van was surrounded by police officers. Either they have nothing better to do, or they're really in extreme fear of the community they swore to serve and protect. So there's the disconnect, I believe. I think the police chief and the police department needs to do a better job in building the trust with the community, especially with a particular community, the Latino community here. Because it's there, okay? I hear it, I see it. And our political leaders seem to be completely unaware of that sensation. So they're not, when you provide these types of funding for the police department, for all these gadgets, again, where is the proof that we need these gadgets?
Chief Westrick, how is the state of community and police relations in Hollister, and what can be done to improve them?
I'll answer it in a couple of different ways. We did a survey, we've actually done a couple of surveys the last few years, but the last one we did, we had about an 82% rating for trust and legitimacy here in Hollister. For me, that was really good, and that's way above the 40% or so nationally. But I wanted to go a step further. And so what we did was we, in our preparations to write a grant for legitimacy in policing, which is a part of the 21st Century Policing Initiative by the Obama administration. It's a fantastic document, actually. We looked into it and we found a place out of Nebraska that does surveys, which are completely anonymous, that will measure a person's thoughts directly after they've made contact with the police. We're actually the only one pretty much in the nation that's doing it. And what happens is so for example, if we pull over a vehicle and give them a warning, okay, or a ticket, whatever interaction, we give them a survey card that they can either call in. There's a number, it's a 1-800 number. They can use the scan code and go right to the website, or they can go right using a code on the website themselves and manually enter it in and do a survey. That survey is completely anonymous. And really what I'm interested in is I want to know how they felt about the officer, okay? How the officer treated them. Was the officer fair? Was the officer professional? And all those things. It's very important.
Both of you, Mr. Burguillo and Chief Westrick, have shared with BenitoLink that you've tried to reach out to one another. What has prohibited you from connecting with each other so far?
Through BenitoLink, the chief has never reached out to me. On the contrary, I've reached out to the chief on 2 occasions, spoken to his secretary to try to arrange a time. And we went back and forth and weren't able to set up a time when he said he wasn't available. Him saying that he's reached out to me, I never heard of him. I never really heard from him on BenitoLink challenging my allegations. There has not been, I've raised numerous questions. There has never been an official city council or police department response.
I'm not sure. There was a time when I tried to have him meet with me because I think he was having a hard time writing he wanted to do a public document request. And when he was doing it, he wasn't actually asking for a document, he was doing something else with it. And I wanted to actually help him write a public document request and give him the actual way to do it. But he just wouldn't respond. And this is through our city clerk. But yeah, I'm kind of an advocate for folks like Mr. Burguillo because I think it's important that you hear all sides. And if he has a legitimate complaint, I need to hear it. I need to take action. And I just haven't seen anything yet, but I'd like to.
To continue the conversation, BenitoLink would like to invite you for a follow-up interview with both of you in the same room to address some of the key issues facing the community. Would you agree to such a meeting?
Sure, I'd be more than happy to.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else you would like to share?
One of the things I guess that upset me, or I shouldn't say upset, that's too strong of a word, concerned me, was that I understand that it was commentary, and I understand that it's not coming from BenitoLink, some of the things that were said, but you would wonder what is the line? Is there a line that one would cross that BenitoLink would not publish? Is there something? I don't know if there is or not. And that's the only thing I had about it. Other than that, I don't have a problem with the content. I can respond to the content. That's not a big deal, and I did. And I think it's his right to do that. And I would encourage him, if he wants to do it, to keep doing it, because that's why we live in this country. Okay, Men and women have bled in other countries for that right, for us to do that. So I support it.
The purpose of me writing an opinion piece, which is a piece to provoke discussion and emotion, is to improve the quality of life in Hollister, to prevent it from becoming a police state. I'm asking the chief to provide demographic figures for his police department. Demographics. Provide demographic figures for the stops, the 2,000 stops. Who is being stopped, okay? And to provide how much money is being generated by those tickets. So I think we need to put the brakes on this expenditure with more police, more gadgets, toys, and gizmos for them, because Hollister is going to be under attack any day soon from terrorists. Okay, they're going to attack the vegetables and the fruits here. It's a little overblown. Again, it's the politics of fear. It's the politics of fear and loathing we don't need to deal with. Crime here is low. I'm not saying that we don't need to deal with a crime. Let's be reasonable.
BenitoLink would like to remind all viewers that you are invited to voice your opinion and express your thoughts on the website, either through opinion pieces like Mr. Burguillo submits or as a paid reporter. Whether you're a government official or a citizen, your opinion matters. With this in mind, BenitoLink extends a warm welcome for you to write, comment, and share your opinion with the community of San Benito County on BenitoLink.com.